So, we are talking about grace today. Last week on the podcast, I interviewed Julie Fudge Smith on Unleashed at Work and Home, and we were talking about grace. Not physical grace, but emotional grace. So I'm wondering, do you give yourself the same grace that you give other people? Do you feel like you extend grace? The podcast was really timely for me. While I was working on the show notes last week, my husband started vacuuming. No big deal. And suddenly the vacuum turned off and he's standing in front of me holding 2 wine glasses. And he said, "Why do we even have these wine glasses? Can I throw them in the recycle bin?" What? What do wine glasses have to do with vacuuming, have to do with me working on my computer? So what had happened was, while vacuuming, he realized he wanted an attachment, and the attachment was in a cabinet, and in the cabinet were wine glasses, and we don't drink wine. So suddenly it became an urgent, burning need for him to think about these wine glasses and whether or not we could get rid of them. Does that ever happen to you? Where you're engaged in one thing, and then something hijacks you, and all of a sudden you're in a different situation entirely? Well, that's what happened to me. And I had to sort of stop and check in with myself, because my first reaction was annoyance. I'm working. I'm very busy here right now, and you're talking about wine glasses, and we have been married 32 years. So why now? Why are these wine glasses the urgent, important thing to talk about now? And then, side note, why would you throw them in the recycle bin? Perhaps someone else might like them. Gift the world. But I had to take this moment and stop and think, like, how do I want to respond here? How do I want to be? So it was really funny, because it was a perfect moment for me to stop and think about grace. And what would grace be in this moment? So in that case, I made a choice to stop working and then go deal with all of the crazy questions my husband had about the contents of the cabinet, which clearly had become a priority. No more wine glasses, just FYI, or other wedding gifts that were hiding in there. And then I got back to work. Another day I might make a different choice, but the key is I made a choice. I didn't hold him responsible for what was going on. I chose how I wanted to respond. So that's what grace is. Grace is thinking about things and deciding how you want to act. So today I wanted to share a few tips for helping develop grace, and it will be a lifelong struggle for all of us. None of us is going to be completely graceful in all moments of our lives, but we can all develop more grace. The first and most important step is to notice what you're feeling. So my first thought was frustration and annoyance. Catching that and seeing that and being able to identify that's what it was helpful to me, because I was able to see that I was invested in what I was doing, and also say, oh, I bet he's invested in what he's doing too. And then I could make a choice of, did I want to ask him to wait, which was absolutely a valid choice to do, or did I want to say, this can wait and I can help him in this moment? So noticing what you're feeling, and also the stories you're telling yourself about what you're feeling and what's happening, and questioning, are they true? So I could have told myself a story like, he doesn't respect my work, or he doesn't care that I'm busy, or any of those things. That would not have been helpful in that situation. So our brain is wired for story. Learning to catch the story that's coming up is a very valuable tool. So step 1, notice what you're feeling and what might be contributing to that feeling. And then step 2 is take a deep breath. And bonus points if you can take 5. And then decide what you want to do. The deep breath matters. The deep breath helps to recenter yourself and put you a little bit more control of your nervous system, because you've just been hijacked. You've just been like, now! And this gives you a chance to go, okay, let's think about this. And so then you get to ask yourself, what advice would I give a friend in the same situation? What other perspectives could I share? What could help my friend move forward in a way that is constructive and helpful? So explore those options and then choose the one that feels right for you. Now, obviously, it takes practice to be able to learn to do this in real time and to be able to respond in day-to-day moments with the grace that you would like to have. But it can come. It can come. It is a skill that we can all develop. And in the podcast episode with Julie Smith, episode 53, I will link to it. We talked a lot about that. But for you today, I would say there are 3 additional things that you can do to help yourself develop more grace. So the first is to practice, to have some sort of silent practice. Now, it could be meditation, or it could be that a few times a day you just stop and take a few deep breaths. But becoming more comfortable with regular still moments will allow your brain and your body to recognize and be able to return to a state of calm and grace. The second tip would be journaling. The act of exploring your thoughts mentally and then putting them down on paper is incredibly valuable because it uses a different part of your brain, and it helps you learn to notice, name, and navigate the emotions that you're experiencing. And the third tip is coaching. Coaching can be a very helpful way of providing a framework to explore your life and the situations that you encounter with someone else. So if coaching is of interest to you, you can always schedule a free call with me at colleenpilar.com/coaching. Just check it out. Try it. See what you think. But to summarize, you don't have to have grace naturally. A lot of us have nervous systems that have been sort of trained and triggered to be always on alert. But you can develop grace. You can develop more grace and extend it to others in your life. But the real key is learning to extend it to yourself. So try these tips, and I hope you'll be feeling lots more grace very soon, my friend.